Hi everyone, Happy New Year. It's my first broadcast for the year. Um, I hope you're all enjoying the snow, wherever it is, and the cold and the hot, wherever it is. Today, for many days, Carla has been calling me and asking me to do this question about understanding the differences between our cultures. And it's for those who know Carla, she doesn't give up, and she is like 5 year old. She just gets what she wants, and we talk about this. Um, okay, there we go. So yeah, for those who don't know Carla, should know Carla because we do another show about how Carla has become this Carla. Um, Motivation what she's doing. And anyways, today it's all about she and her questions. So Carla, shoot, what's your question about the cultures?
First of all, I want to say hello. And no, I don't want to ask Rayhan, you and I both know that we've had several conversations where there has been a
It,
definite cultural difference.
it looks like it's not doing it. One moment.
Know that we've had several conversations where there has been a definite cultural difference.
It looks like it's not. Never mind, it's working fine. Okay.
Okay, can I talk or no? It's working now.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, we've become friends, and I'm very happy about that. Good friends. But we've had some cultural differences where we have misunderstandings because of who we are. And I want to better understand, and my questions were a lot clearer before we had the conversation before coming on because we were talking about different things. And now I haven't been thinking about the cultural thing. But basically, I don't really understand, and maybe this doesn't just go between Muslims and Jews. It may be more of a cultural thing, but understanding why it's okay for you to tease me, but if I want to tease you, it doesn't work well. Or if a conversation happens where something is said, not something is said, and it isn't necessarily meant the way you hear it, and there's some confusion in our own conversation. I see Bert Ola is in the audience. Hi, Bert. Bert Ola. So help me understand so we don't have as much confusion as sometimes we have in our own conversations between ourselves. That
So,
wasn't very clear.
so I, so from what I understand is you're asking about um, the misunderstanding between your and my conversation. Number one, and number two, if I say something to tease you, um, you're saying that I don't, you're not supposed to be upset about it. But if you say something to tease me, I get upset about it. Is that what the question is?
Sometimes, yeah. And you do, and you know it.
Okay. So, Um, First of all, I think every single country has its culture, every city has its culture, every building has its culture, and every human being has its culture. And what we define by culture is our boundaries. Of what is acceptable to one person may not be acceptable to the other person. What is acceptable to other person is not acceptable to the other person. And then on top of that, then there is a culture between two different kinds of people. So for example, the culture which I have with you might be different with the culture I have with my mother, or might be different with my wife, or might be different with my children, or might be different with, it's how we actually are reacting or taking actions with certain people.
Right.
So, and in friendship, I think as friendship evolves, it's a very delicate situation how you take it forward and how you act and react to the situation. And
Right.
once you start knowing the person, that that friendship is like any other relationship. It's like between work colleagues. It's between friends, and then uh, on virtual level it's totally different. When you meet a person, it's also very different. So it's so many different things how you react and how you don't react. So for my close friends, people who are close to me, I don't like them. This is totally different than normal people. I'm totally abnormal. Is I don't like people to ask me where I am. I don't like to people to ask me how you're doing. I don't like people to ask me what's going on, where are you going. These are questions which I don't like to answer, because there's no need for me to tell certain people what's going on. Why do you? I know it's the conversational language which we use. I just don't like them. If Bertola calls me once a year and says, "Hi, Rehan, where are you and where are you going?" Maybe it's different. But if every single day somebody calls me and say, "How are you? Where are you? Where are you going?" You're not my mom. You're not my wife. I don't
And I
even,
don't want to be.
not you. I'm talking about everyone. People who I talk on an everyday level. If you go on my Facebook, see my last post, it has a location where I am. That's how you know where I am. Very, very easy. So I just don't like to do conversation. People might think that actually I enjoy conversation. I absolutely ridiculously don't like to conversate or talk. I do this, what I'm doing is because to me it's learning and educating, and learning and teaching at the same time. But when it comes to personal phone calls, my phone has been on silent for the last 5 years. I don't pick up phones. I don't answer anybody. If I am in a table, my phone's black. I keep it upside down so I don't even see the ringer happening. That's the kind of person I am. I am a very introvert person, whereas people might think I'm a very extrovert person. I enjoy meeting people for sure, but I have my limits. I need to revive myself. And like for the last 3 days, I've been in a hotel room doing nothing. Even on a New Year's Eve, I did nothing. I was just inside and sleeping. So the culture, understanding culture is a very, very deep understanding of two humans being trying to interact as frictionless as possible, I think. So that's what understanding culture is all about. And if you zoom out, it's actually not really that important. But if you think about it, all the wars happen because of food, because of language, because of culture, because of our way or their way. I asked somebody, "What do Americans do on the New Year's Eve?" I said, "Well, there is a tradition of going and kissing someone. Where do I find somebody to kiss on the New Year's Eve? That would be totally absurd in our part of the world." So um, it's just we need. I mean, I don't know my culture anymore because I've traveled so much that my culture is sort of all. Um, what's the better word for the F word? It's all crazy. It's all
It's
squished into
all,
something
yeah,
totally new.
pushed together now.
Yeah, I don't know how to define my culture. I don't fit in as a Pakistani. I don't fit in as an American. I don't fit in as, I don't know what I am. I mean, I am very a human being. I'm not. I'm very Pakistani, but I'm not. I'm very American, but I'm not. You know, what am I? I don't know. Um, so it's as far as I am concerned. But now, if you could ask journal questions about your experience in the past, I can give you some. You know, if you give me some situation, I can tell you. But I can tell you that most men who are talking to you have probably not had a conversation in their life with a person outside their family, especially the people who come into your show, because there are no women in the bazaars in Pakistan who work. There is absolutely no chance of them having seen a woman because most of them are ninjas or in chadar covered, especially in certain parts of Pakistan and Afghanistan. So the culture which you have, like for example, I think the theme has a Christmas thing. So if the theme, for example, I am I'm pretty dang sure that the theme has not having an hour long one-on-one conversation in a room alone with a woman who is not related to him in his life. He's 40 years old. And that's how the fact is. So when it comes to interaction with women, it's different. You know, every person is different. And but in culture, in journal, like I tell everyone, I stay away when I stay very, very far away from Pakistani women. I don't even talk with them. I would say hello, sister, to start off with, because people get weird ideas, and I don't want to give them any weird ideas. But then certain would follow certain religious rule. What rules do you follow? Do you follow your country rule, your the other country's rule? Do you shake hand? You don't shake hand. You give them a hug. You don't give them a hug. You take a selfie with them. You don't take a selfie with them. I have heard from a relative of mine, the very recently that my reputation is very bad among the family. That I am some kind of uh, person who is a perv, maybe I don't know, of some kind, because I am taking so many photos with women. So that makes me a very not nice person. So you know, again, everybody has their own standard of um, labeling different things to people also. So it's very difficult to understand culture, but it's very easy at the same time because you just let it be what it is. It is. You just take it easy. Don't get upset about other people's culture. And, um, you know,
Well, that's a very interesting point. Um, I remember when you first came here. The first time I met you, you brought who Ahmed down with you to say hello, which was fine. I had no problems with it. It took me a few times to realize that you were not going to come into my apartment unless someone else was there. My reaction to it was, "You're quite a gentleman." That was such an inappropriate behavior, but it was something I wouldn't have even thought much of. People walk in and out of my apartment all the time, male, female, the dogs, the cats. But, that wasn't a big thing. But the fact that you didn't do it put you in a little different bit of a category because it was such a gentlemanly type behavior that I had never seen before here. It was very new to me and I couldn't quite understand why, but it was fine. And, that's a cultural thing that is your part of your culture or your way of life. Can you make a little more sense about it?
Um,
And did I say something wrong?
no, you did. You said something fine. So I went. I had a meeting with a relative of mine recently, and she wouldn't meet me in her house because we would be alone. So I was totally, to me, she might be like a sister, but to others, it might not be. And religiously, you're required not to be with a woman in a private situation at all, whatever kind of woman it is. So there's a lot of we're evolving into a new culture, and you are creating a new culture. I'm part of it. Facebook is part of it. We're all part of creating a new kind of culture, which will have more commonalities, more understanding in the planet, and that's what you have been doing every single day for the past many months. You're actually creating a new kind of culture. Look, I come from a country called Pakistan. It used to be Gandhara, it used to be Taxila, it used to be some other country called something X. I don't even know the languages my ancestors were speaking. We don't know the cultures they were following. We don't know anything about our ancestors. But every 100 years, a new culture evolves. My language, my mother tongue, is 250 years old only. The country I'm coming from is 35,000 year old. There's pottery available there for 35,000 years ago. We don't know what their culture was. We can assume, we can make movies about it, we can presume. We didn't have any photos or videos or anything like that. But we are all part of creating a new kind of culture where we have access to everything. We have access to all knowledge. We have access to things which were never possible today before. Like what you and I are doing right now was not possible a year ago. So imagine 5 years from now, people will joke about it. When we are done doing what we're doing um, on the internet, um, I think people people wouldn't remember us because we wouldn't be needed there anymore. So when I started selling email, that was 1995. If you remember, when I asked people, "Can you email me?" they would say, "What's email? Can I fax you?" And now, if you ask somebody, "Can I fax you?" they will say, "What world are you from?" And now I tell people I don't use email anymore, and you can just Facebook me, and they're like, "What?" So it's it's um, it's an ever changing world. It's very difficult for people to grasp it if they choose to, because majority of the time we are told that we can't do it. So today I was extremely happy when an almost 80-year-old, he said to me, his age is, gentleman who lives around your area, who told me that he is from a time where people were against industrialization. And he went live in his bathrobe and explained that terminology for me. And I was like, whoa, that was brilliant for me. And it took me 5 minutes to show him how to do it. That to me is beautiful when people older learn to use technology. And it excites me a lot. And
Maybe I should interview him.
maybe you should. Yeah, he has spent all his fortune of his life giving away to people. He had a lot of money and he gave it away. Still is giving whatever he has to others. He doesn't spend on himself.
Wow.
So understanding what, yeah, when you don't know somebody, you're scared of them, or you don't know them, you don't want anybody to get funny ideas, you go with somebody else. So there is a witness or something. It's in Islam, it's just not allowed to meet. It's not recommended to be with a woman without I mean, for example, I don't know how much it's true. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I haven't read it myself, but my mother has told me that, a woman is not even supposed to politely answer to a man. He's supposed to like, so that he doesn't get any funny ideas. That's the kind of, but it's a culture. It is what it was. Now we live in an ocean. We used to live in wells, then in ponds, and then in rivers. Now we are in the ocean. We're all together as one, and we need to learn how to live in this culture. It's very difficult because most people are not willing to go of their culture. It's our way. It's how we are.
Well, that's what I love about my show, because I'm beginning to know so many different people from different cultures and different ways of doing things that I would have never been able to do if I hadn't been introduced to Be Live in July and it ended up being a Zoom webinar. I mean, I feel like what I'm doing is connecting the world together. And, we have people, it's not all Pakistan anymore. It used to be, but now it's becoming very, very much a global conversation, which I find it really quite awesome, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm glad about it because it wasn't supposed to be just for Pakistan. It actually started with Palestine, which most Americans don't know the difference in, by the way. But what it is, what it is.
But I didn't know it was supposed to be for Palestine. You never told me. You were sneaky again and got me to do something.
I think that was the original post, but I do so many things every single day that I just get lost in what I'm doing. I just let things be.
That's cool. That's really great.
So, do you have any questions, or that's it? We're done for the day.
I know that you may need to go in a second or two, but that whole cultural thing, even in having a conversation sometimes or saying something that I think is cool and yet it isn't, is a really important thing of, to have a good understanding. Because when you and I have a misunderstanding, I hate to say it, you have a nice temper on you. I get the brunt of it. And it may not be what I actually meant to say. But you see it in that manner because that's where you come from and how you've been raised. And I see it as something very innocent and actually something meant to be relieving of the mind, and it ends up being, oy vey, why did I ever say it that way? Do you understand what I'm saying now?
So, Carla, I'm saying the same thing to you again, is that I am a very different person than other people. So, Ali.
Oh, I know.
So it is just me. It's nothing to do with my background or something. I'm just weird. I'm just different. So it's how my wiring is. I do want to, because you were asking me about culture. Yesterday, I tried to talk to this waitress at a coffee shop, who greeted me as Honey. Now she's 21, and she greets me, Honey. How are you? What would you like to eat today? And I'm like, oh my God, I have a honey right here. Oh my God, that's awesome. I was so happy. But so I tried to ask her and her colleague about how in the south of the US, the southern part, the South as they call. Some people might know and some people don't. You know it. Is the culture of honey, darling, sweetheart. And I asked the guy who was there, say, hey, do you say the same things to women? He said, no. And he's like, I asked, then why do women say it to men? She said, I don't know. And and then I asked another waitress. All of us started to have this conversation, and I said, well, when you say honey or darling to these guys, don't they flip it around and use it like in a not the way you were intending it to? He said, they know they shouldn't, but they do. Sometimes some do, some don't. So the point is, it's again up to every individual. We must stay. We must take the best. And my reply was, I love it that you are calling me darling and honey. I feel very welcoming. I feel that's probably the intention of these people to make, because South is known for their hospitality.
Right.
And they're just making you feeling warm and hospitable and welcoming. That's why they're calling you with these sweet names. It's not, the idea is that you're not their darling anymore, or you don't become their darling, but that's how they say it. And there's nothing wrong with it. But if we take it out of the context, then it becomes very difficult for the other party.
So if I said, and I'm just playing around with this, I'm not afraid to even say it.
Don't
I
play
said,
around. Don't play
what?
around. You can play around with Ali, you can play around with other people, don't play around with me.
With you. Okay, I won't say it, but I think you know what I'm thinking. It would be inappropriate.
Yeah, for me, it is going to be inappropriate because I've already asked you not to say it. But if I didn't care, it doesn't matter. It's about how I react. Everybody in the world is about how they react.
Right.
Nothing else. It doesn't matter, right? It's a dog is a dog. It doesn't matter if somebody calls me a dog. I would be fine. If you call me Rehan dog, I would be fine. But how I react to it is how everything is. It's about how people perceive what you're saying and how they react to it. That's all.
Okay, let me give you an example. When I was still teaching school, some of the kids I would call sweetie. It would just come out of me. And that was okay, except that there were times when you called certain kids sweetie, it wasn't right. And I found that out quickly and I changed it quickly.
So it all depends on how the other person is reacting. So if I don't like to be called darling by you, please don't call me darling or whatever.
I will never call you darling, my friend.
There you go.
Believe me, I'm not. But what I was trying to say to you is the use of the word. Although I may not mean it as you hear it, it would cause all kinds of issues. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, it's again how people perceive things. It's not how they are. It's how it's perceived. Now, you are the same age as my mother. So if you call me, that's totally fine. When I call you like my mom, you shouldn't get upset also.
But the age issue, and I don't care if your mom is in Pakistan or Israel or wherever, women do not like discussing that age thing. That is like a taboo. But you, my friend.
I'm just showing what it is, what I say.
No, I'm not talking about the mom thing right now in that context. I'm talking about the age thing right now.
I think
Um,
the way another way we use these words is by creating boundaries. So as I said earlier, when I talk to a Pakistani woman, I start with "Hello, sister." Is to draw a line instantly. There's nothing happening. Hello starts with the sister, but that's it's how it's you know it's very challenging to deal with this. It's just it is, but have a clear heart and stay in the jungle, and meet no one, talk to no one. I guess that's how you.
but I don't, if you stayed in the jungle and you never went out, you wouldn't be who you are.
Yesterday
Part
or the other day, somebody, maybe it was Shri Shri, talking about the Jain Swamis. And the Jain Swamis don't wear clothes. They're all naked, butt naked. You can see their organs, and they walk the street. They don't really care what they're wearing or not. It's the others who react to them, that they get upset with them, who don't understand their culture, who don't understand their religion, get upset with them. Similarly, in America, a lot of American women get upset with Muslim women and Muslim men that they're wearing like a hijab or niqab, which covers their face, and they get upset with the women's husbands that they force these women into wearing these things on their faces. But they never dare ask them, why do you do it? Um, so the best way to understand a culture is to understand anything else. Ask questions. Don't judge people based on what you know. Don't judge people based on what you know. Try to ask questions. Have the courage to ask the questions. And I don't know if you saw Jennifer Kushell's video, which I posted a few months ago, where she has traveled all over the world, but she never talked to a ninja or to a person inside a niqab. And I introduced her to my mother, and everything changed for her after 10 minutes. Uh, you should see that video. It's very powerful.
Can
And
you talk a little about the hijab and the reason for it? I would love to really get a good understanding of that. National Hijab Day is coming up, and there's a plan with the ladies in the women's group to not only do something about it, but also to wear, we're going to wear hijabs that day, all day long. And I'm kind of looking forward to it, except that I have to learn how to wrap it. I have no idea how to
you should
do
have
that.
somebody should come up with the filter on Facebook to anybody could get a hijab on their face just by going on that filter.
Oh, really?
Anyways, your question about hijab is difficult for me to answer because the religious context of it is based on interpretation. Um, Everybody interpret or whatever the word is in a different way. My mother interprets the Quran, saying the Quran, well, doesn't say cover your face, doesn't say cover what, just say cover yourself. So everybody interprets this in a different way. There are some who cover their faces, there are some who cover their fingers, there's some who cover everything. In Morocco, which is a Muslim country, it's illegal to cover your faces. So in the US, you can cover your face, but in Morocco, uh, you're not allowed to cover your face. Um, huh?
Go on. I just said, wow.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, so it depends on how you interpret it. Like I have asked my mother many times, can you show me why you cover your face? She does it because of um that's her understanding. Uh,
Now, is there a different name for the hijab that covers the face than the hijab that just covers the head?
so niqab is when it's the ninja, and hijab is when you have face. But again, it depends on who's doing it. It's not. It's the language thing, how people understand it. It's how the interpretation is. Everything is based on interpretation, um, and that's the biggest dilemma of our time, that we judge others based on how we interpret things, be it religion, everything, even language. So uh, Mark, who I'm meeting tomorrow, wrote a whole book about this, about how Christians interpret the word convert, whereas the entire Bible never asks anyone to convert anybody to Christianity. Anyone. And the whole evangelicalism is about conversion, right? The whole Catholicism is about going out there and converting them to Christianity and saving them. But Bible doesn't ask you to do that. So it's about how you interpret. What's that? How do you pronounce it properly? Interpret.
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 Yeah, interpret. You
Interpret.
got it now. We're getting closer. You had it and then you lost it again.
Interpret.
Interpret.
All right. Give me a minute. Let me take the call of Mark. He's trying to call me.
Say hi to Mark. Hey, Mark.
How can we train ourselves to learn how to deal with people? Hello?
Hi, Abdullah.
How?
Do you want me to read it to you? How
Hello?
can we train?
Hey, Mark. I still am. You're still people. The audience is listening to you.
Hey, Mark.
Okay. To your house? Oh, you want to come over here?
Yay.
Oh, okay. Sure. Let me send you the address. Oh, you have it? Cool. So you can come over. I'll open my ringer. You call me when you. Alrighty.
Say hi for me.
Um, I still can't understand his question. How can we train ourselves to learn how to deal with people who have a lifestyle of drinking alcohol? It's very difficult to be compatible with their mindset, especially in case we want to build business. That's a beautiful question.
It is.
Um, so his question is, how do we deal with people who drink alcohol? So I'll give it a shot, and I don't know if I will be okay or not. And again, I'm not a religious scholar. I am just a Bedouin, a gypsy, a traveler who has had to deal with this myself also. Um, understanding. So alcohol, the way we have grown hating it, is very different in the Western culture. Very different, extremely different. The way it's treated in certain countries, and I can tell you, it's treated differently in different countries also. So when I was in Russia, alcohol is treated, oh my God, in such a different way than it's treated in America, then it's treated in the UK, then it's treated in Sweden or Finland or other parts of the world. So you have to remember that alcohol is like water in people in Russia. Beer is like water in majority of the Western world. There's a difference between hard alcohol and a soft alcohol. A hard alcohol is where it's over 10% or more liquor, which is the alcohol part, and beer is 2% in the whole drink. Now, beer is something like a Coca-Cola for everyone. Now, the way you deal with, first of all, you have to stop judging other people that they're drinking alcohol. You can't judge them that if they're alcoholics, everybody judges them. Nobody likes an alcoholic. Now, alcoholic is a person who is drinking all the time, be it West or even in the West. Nobody wants to deal with an alcoholic. Nobody likes it. Nobody. Do you like it, Carla?
No,
So
I'm
if
not a
somebody,
drinker. I don't drink alcohol.
there you go. So majority of the Muslim world, Muslims, Pakistanis especially think that everybody in the West drinks. So here you have Carla, who I know, who is telling you herself that she doesn't drink. Lots of my friends absolutely hate alcohol in the West. So all you have to say is you don't drink, or you don't want to drink. You don't drink because of religious reasons. They don't judge you. They don't judge you, and those who judge you for everything. You have a big nose, you have a big eye, you have a black hair. They judge you on everything. Those are people last time Carla talked about called bigots. They just judge you based on what they know. So it's your job to enlighten them, to offer them understanding of why you do certain ways. So be there more instead of being there less. And I had a boy, I remember he came to me, see me in Kuala Lumpur. He came to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia through some help, and he was a student. And he said, I cannot pass a restaurant on the way. I have to spend 20 minutes or 15 minutes extra passing around because in that restaurant, they serve alcohol. So I can't even go across it. It smells to me. So, this is the idea we inject in our children, that it's a bad thing. Everything is bad and good, but there's some good in some things and there's majority bad in those things. So alcohol is something which has majority of the bad, because when you're drunk, you're not yourself and nobody likes it. In Russia, in Finland, in Sweden, they have to drink hard alcohol not to get drunk, but to stay alive. If they don't, they will die. You also have to understand that in older times, wine was the only way to have water. Beer was the only way to have water. There was no filtering plants. There was no clean water. There was no bottled water available. The only way you don't die is by drinking alcohol, because the water was extremely dirty in certain places. So it's very deep, and some might think that I'm actually taking side of an alcohol, but that's not the idea. I'm just giving you an overall experience of what I have seen and learned. And I tried to tell that boy to get over his own fear, but he wasn't able to. And so he was still and he still kept hating alcohol, and he didn't have a job, and he became miserable. So we can't let our old ideology rule over our life. If something is against you, for example, people eat pig all the time. You don't have to eat it. Jews don't eat it. Lot of Westerners don't eat any kind of meat. And to so so the Muslims, they judge them. A lot of Muslims, when you were going to tell them you're a vegetarian, oh, you don't eat meat. Oh, how bad. That's weird. That's bad. The Prophet Muhammad wasn't eating meat every day. We have abused everything. We eat meat every day now in Pakistan. If you don't eat meat, it's like, oh my God, it's such a bad thing. No, it's not a bad thing. Meat is really bad for you. You don't eat it every day. But it's to what to you is pig is cow meat to a lot of people. So don't judge other people. Start by not judging others and not thinking that they're bad, and you'll be fine.
And also in the Jewish religion, wine is like water. You drink wine at Shabbat. You drink wine at all different occasions.
But
And
that's a
what's
different wine also. That's a different kind of wine.
it's a kosher wine, but it really isn't that much different than any other wine.
Mm.
And I know that when I was at Lee's for dinner, they had a bottle of wine, and actually, I'm not even sure I'm sure it was a kosher wine, but it wasn't the typical kosher wine. And it's something I don't do. And he started pouring wine, and he gave me a big glass of wine. And I said, Lee, if you're going to give me wine, you better give me a tiny bit. But I remember when I was younger, we had wine on Friday nights. It was a normal thing. And my family used to call me the wino. I used to like it, but now I don't touch it. We all change and we all grow, and it's a part of the Jewish culture to drink wine.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go. Let you go, all of you. Thank you, Carla, for the conversation. I got to clean up a little bit, and then I will have to take a nap and sleep, and I have a long day tomorrow. So thank you for taking the time, everyone, to watch this. Thank you for enjoying this, especially Bert and others. I love interesting conversation, which are deep. I don't get offended. Carla says I do, but on a personal level, I do. On a public level, I have no problem. If anybody crosses my personal boundaries, I get upset. Simple. Period. If that's all I want. I respect my privacy. I respect my sleep. I respect my freedom. And I ask others to do the same. I don't schedule programs. The reason I don't schedule is because I want to stay as much free as I can, but I started to commit because of the first show was actually Amy's show, and then I started committing to other shows and became really hectic and still is, but I try to make myself available for these shows for that
You
reason.
never come to mine.
Because I never committed to it. But I came to your show initially. That's how, I kicked it up. So I try to come and make more Carlas out there. That's my work and that's my job. So my job is to help other people come out of their cocoons. If they're hiding inside, they're not showing their potential. So I try my best to take them out and make them into the butterfly.
Well, I want you to come to my show every once in a while.
All right, let's book a setting for the next 2022.
Why that long?
Because you'll have a gazillion followers, and I'll be Mr. Pop on the Miss Popular on the Oprah Winfrey show. It's like doing an
You can come now, and it'll bring people to the show.
All right, I gotta go. Okay, take care.
Okay. Can I just have you for 1 second after you go offline?
No. Bye-bye.
1 second.
Bye.
No. Hey, Bert.